welcome to another Lawn Fawn video. Today we are so excited to be introducing our brand new set, Porcu-pine for You, and its coordinating dies. We're also going to be introducing our new set, Porcu-pine for You add-on and its coordinating dies. And we'll also be introducing a cute new die border called Little Heartstrings border. So let's go ahead and check them out. First up, we're going to take a look at the Porcu-pine for You stamp set, and these little porcupines are just the cutest thing ever. They make me smile so much. I mean, look at this little guy. Oh my goodness. So we have the two here that can interact, and then we have two that are hugging, which is just so very sweet. And then we also have a little baby porcupine too. Then we have some great things for setting the scenes for your porcupines. We have these awesome trees in both a larger style and a smaller style, which you can put around your porcupines to make an adorable forest. And we have a little tree stump, which the porcupines can stand on. We also have these little mushrooms, and this little grouping of the trio of mushrooms is just so sweet. And we have a single mushroom too. We have a little snail, and he is just so much fun in the scenes, and I really like him on that little log too. And then we have all of these little leaves, and you can add these leaves at the bottoms of the trees or directly onto the trees. And so what I love about this is it makes it so that this set can be really seasonal for any time of the year, because you could have green leaves, you could have fall leaves, you could have no leaves. You have a ton of options. There's a cute little flower also for setting the scene, and then a flower on a stem that the porcupines can hold. We also have this sweet little butterfly that I love stamping up in the sky. And of course, some little hearts for stamping above the porcupines, especially the ones that are hugging. I think that's so very cute. We have some fun little mini sentiments in this set. We have Happy Valentine's Day, I'm stuck on you, I like you, and also the phrase boop, which is so cute because you can have the porcupine say that and the bigger porcupine can boop the little one's nose. It's really sweet. We have Will You Be Mine, I porcupine for you. We also have You're So Porcu-pine. And we have this really fun mix and match phrasing. We have I love you, and then we also have thank you, which can both be used on their own, or you can mix and match it with the so mush to go along with the mushroom. So I love you so much, which is so fun. And then of course an exclamation point to add to the ends of the phrases, and also a little tiny heart that you can add to the ends of your phrases too. Now it's time to add some color to these adorable images, and I'm going to be using Copic markers here, and I'm starting with a dark brown and then moving my way all the way out to a light brown, almost into white at the very end, and I think that's just such a pretty look on these porcupines. I also really love using the E40 markers on these, so I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on this porcupine too. I'm starting with my dark marker and then working out into my mediums into my lights. And you don't need quite so many markers, you could keep it more simple, but I was having fun playing with all my little markers. And I'm going to do the little baby porcupine there in that same style. Next, for their bodies, I'm going to be using some E50 markers, and I'm adding the shadow there right where his little spines cover his body, around his arm and his legs, and then blending it out. And I like to give them little white bellies. I think that's a really, really cute look too. Here on the one on the left, I didn't leave it quite as white on the belly as I had hoped, so I decided to do something a little bit different with this guy. So you can see I've got my dark, and I'm going to blend them all out and kind of leave a little bit more of that white belly. And I think that's such a cute look. A lot of the members of the design team do that on a lot of critters, and I just think it's so much fun. So there you can see I brought in an even lighter marker to kind of keep the belly and his chin lighter, and I think that's just really adorable. And of course, I'm going to give them some rosy cheeks and a pink nose and pink ears. And then we'll repeat the same thing here with the little baby porcupine. Oh my goodness, he's just so cute. Now, for the hugging porcupine, I'm going to go and use some other colors and show you how you can really mix and match your colors in fun ways on these porcupines. And in this case, I'm leaving the lightest area in the center of the porcupine spines. So you can really play around with this and see what you like best. But now my darkest marker is going all the way around, and then I'm just blending it out into the center. Now, these little porcupines are so cute for Valentine's Day, and I especially love the Will You Be Mine. The puns are just so much fun. But what I love about them is that they're just such a fun critter for year-round too. It could be thank you cards, birthday cards, so many different things. You could even put little Santa hats on these guys. I mean, you could do anything with them. They are just so adorable, and I'll be showing you a ton of ideas from the design team at the end of the video. So I love that you can do Valentine's, or you can do any day cards with these adorable guys. I think these trees are so much fun, and I love them with the porcupines, but I think I'm gonna be using these guys with so many of my other critters too because they're just so unique and really give a fun look into scenes. And there you can see that I'm just kind of blending it out. I actually only ended up using these 2 markers here, and I'm just kind of putting the darker marker in random places and then blending it out with light, and I feel like that gives that unevenness look that makes it really look like real wood on a tree. And I'll be doing the same thing here with the little tree stump too, and I'm just so in love with this little tree stump. We'll add some purple for the butterfly, and of course some pinks for the hearts too. And because I had those pink markers out, I decided to add some pink to the flowers too so that everything coordinates really nicely. Now, here for the snail, I'm using some kind of grayish purples. I thought that was a fun color for him, a fun way to bring in some color but still keep him sort of realistic. And then here we've got these fun little mushrooms, and I'm going to be doing a traditional red combo here. This is my friend Jen Cherkis's favorite red combo. I think it looks so pretty, these 2 reds together. But you could also do some fun colors on these, and Shari's going to show you that in a bit with like a turquoise mushroom or a yellow mushroom. You can really bring in fun color in the cards with those little groupings of mushrooms. And then for these leaves, I'm gonna do them all in a nice bright green. I think that's gonna be so cute for not only Valentine's cards, but even going into spring. I just think they're so much fun. And I like bringing in that really kind of almost neon-y green for the very edge of the leaves. I just think it makes them so bright and so happy. And now that I've added a bunch of color, one thing that I love to do is add white gel pen details. And so I thought I would do that to some of these porcupines. And I'm just adding little lines there, kind of going along with some of the porcupine quills. And I'm also adding a little dot into the rosy cheek. And there's something about it that I feel like almost gives it that 3-dimensional kind of cartoony look that's just so sweet. So they look great with the white gel pen lines, and they look great without too. So now that we've taken a look at the adorable Porcupine for You, we're going to take a look at the Porcupine for You add-on. And this set is just adorable because it has this fun front-facing porcupine and also a little baby porcupine too. And he can hold different things. And I'll show you how that works with the coordinating dies in just a little bit. But here are some of the cute things that he can hold. We've got that fun little cactus there. We have an adorable little mushroom. I love the smiley face in it. We have a little flower that he can hold. We also have a handmade card, of course, that he can hold. We also have 2 little acorns. So we have a plain acorn and then also one with a little smile. He also has a little cell phone that he can use and also a heart that he can hold as well. And it's so cute how you can mix and match all of these fun little images. We have some cute tiny phrases like hello and text me. We also have I love you so much to go along with that mushroom. And then we have some larger phrases that are mix and match. So here is Valentine with a comma that you could add to the front of these phrases or not. And we also have the you, and then you can mix and match it with these 2 phrases. So Valentine, you prickle my fancy. Or you can say Valentine, you are so sharp. And these puns are just so much fun. And I love that you can choose to have it say you are so sharp or Valentine you are so sharp, which makes you be able to use it all year round. We also have thanks for loving me and then a phrase you can add to it that says even when I'm prickly, which just always makes me giggle a little bit. And then we had one more little tiny phrase. We have I'm nuts for you. And then of course an exclamation point that you can add to the end of any of these phrases. Now we're going to add some color to these adorable porcupines, and I'm going to be using that same kind of favorite color combo I've come across for these adorable porcupines here, and I'm adding the dark color again closest to his body and then keeping it light towards the outside edge, almost into a white. You'll see I'm bringing in that very, very light brown marker just to blend it out there, and I really like that kind of almost like glow it gives him all around. And so I'm going to repeat that on the little baby porcupine, and of course you can mix and match these porcupines with the Porcupine for You stamp set, so you can create the most adorable scenes mixing and matching these guys together. Now for this little guy, I added my darkest marker kind of coming in around underneath his chin to give him a little bit of a neck, and then I'm just blending that out with my lightest marker, and then blending it out so he kind of has a little bit of a white belly, and then he's light up towards the top of his forehead, and I just thought that was a really cute look. And then I'll repeat the same idea with my little baby porcupine, and I think it looks adorable giving him that little neck. It just makes him feel kind of 3-dimensional. And of course some rosy cheeks too, and some pink for the hearts on both the card and the cell phone, and of course for the little flower on top of the succulent too. I'm going to blend out some nice bright greens for the succulent and the flower. We'll color in the little pot. And then, of course, we can use kind of some of these same browns for different elements like the acorn so that everything mixes and matches really nicely. We'll add a nice bright red for that little mushroom. And then for the flower, I'm going to make it a little white daisy there by just using some warm gray markers to make that white really stand out. For the little card, I added some light blue just to kind of make the white stand out on that card. And here you can see how you can mix and match these cute little guys together. Next up, we're going to do some die cutting, and here we have the dies for Porcu-pine for You, which you can bend apart at the tabs or use your wire snips to separate. We're going to take these dies and line them up with our stamped images, hold it in place with some low-tack tape, and then run it through the die cut machine, and we'll have perfectly cut out images every time. And here you can see all of the images from the set. Oh my goodness, they are so adorable, and here are some ways to mix and match them. You can layer the leaves onto the trees, onto all of those little branches, which is such a cute look. You can also take the little baby porcupine and put him on top of the stump, or have the little porcupines hold onto the flower, which is just so super cute and sweet. And the snail is so cute on top of the stump too. I also love the flower and the porcupine's hair and what it looks like to have the little hearts above the guys that are hugging. I love how he's holding the mushroom and how he can boop the nose of the little porcupine too. And creating little scenes is so much fun. You can layer the trees behind, the stumps together. Oh my goodness, I love mixing and matching with these guys. Next up, we have the dies for the Porcu-pine for You add-on, which you can bend apart at the tabs or use your wire snips to separate. We'll take those dies and line them up with our stamped images, hold it in place with some low-tack tape, then we'll run it through the die cut machine and we'll have perfectly cut out images every time. The coordinating die for Porcu-pine for You add-on has this extra little die which you could line up or not, so you could keep the porcupine like this, or you can line up this little extra die right onto his paws, just like that. And then you'll hold that in place with your low tack tape, like a washi tape. And then you can run that through the die cut machine. And when you do, what it's going to give you is these little paws that can actually hold onto things, which is so super cute. And so here is a look at all of the images from the set. You have the little baby porcupine and the big porcupine, and then all these things that he can hold. And so here is how you can tuck things into his paws. So you could have one hand hold it, or you can also tuck it behind both the paws, like this. So both paws could be holding onto the little handmade card, or just one. And so here is a look on what it looks like if you just put it kind of behind one of his paws with the little cell phone there. And then look at the little mushroom. I mean, oh my goodness, is that the cutest thing you've ever seen? Oh, I love it so much. And then here you can see how adorable he is holding the little acorn. I think that's such a cute look. You can even layer the little acorn right on top of the little porcupine there, which is just so much fun. You can also have him hold that little flower, and he can hold the flower from the Porcu-pine for You main set as well. He can also hold on to the little heart, and I like using both paws to hold on to the heart. I think that's a really fun look, so you can kind of tuck it right underneath, and just look at that for Valentine's Day. That is just so sweet. And then him holding the little cactus with that phrase that says, "Thanks for loving me even when I'm prickly." I mean, is that not the cutest thing? I kind of like the cactus covering his face. I think it's pretty cute, or you can tuck the cactus down a little bit. So there's so many fun and cute mix and match options with this adorable little porcupine. Now here is our little heartstrings border, and this border die is so pretty and so delicate. It has the beautiful little heartstrings and then hearts that you can layer over top. And so to layer these over the top, I like to just layer some little drops of liquid glue from my glue tube, and then you can layer the hearts over top. And you could do pinks and reds for Valentine's Day, you could do rainbow hearts. I mean, you could really mix and match, even with patterned papers. I think it would look so pretty. And as you see, we layer these last little hearts. Oh my goodness, this is so pretty. It's so delicate. It's so beautiful for Valentine's Day or even wedding cards too. And here you'll see we'll layer it onto a piece of some peacock cardstock. And isn't that just so pretty? I just love all of those little hanging hearts. And we're going to be using that on a card in just a little bit. But first up, Shari is going to create the cutest scene. So take it away, Shari.
Today I'm recreating a card by Callie. I've already colored and cut out all of the images that I'm going to use from the Porcu-pine for You stamp set as well as the add-on. Here I have a piece of white cardstock and the largest of the small stitched rectangles, and I will just cut out a stitched rectangle panel to do some inking and stenciling on. I've placed my panel onto a grip mat, and I'll be using the grassy border stencil as well as the cloud stencil. I'm starting with the grass at the bottom, and I'll be using two colors of ink. I'm starting out with some celery stick ink, and I will just go all over from that grass line to the bottom of my panel with this celery stick green. Then I'll come in with the freshly cut grass, which is slightly darker, and just pull that down so that the tips of my grass are a little bit darker. Then I'm going to move it up and sort of shift it over so my grass blades are not exactly the same, and do the same thing to where I look like I have two layers of grass. So again, this is that celery stick ink, and then I'll go in with the freshly cut grass just for the tips so it's a little darker at the top. Now I can use the mask from the stencil and cover up the grass and protect it while I add some merman ink right above those grass blades to start to create my sky. Then I'm pulling in the cloud stencil, and I'm actually going to pull off the grass because I don't really need it. This cloud is going to protect my green at the bottom. And I'm pulling up that ink from the cloud to create that little line of the puffy clouds. Then I'll pull it up and turn it and create another line of clouds in the same way. Then I'll pull this off one more time, shift it, turn it around, and get a different line of clouds and fill this whole sky with clouds. Now once I have all my little cloud lines, I wanted to go back in with that merman ink and just darken it up a little bit more so that I don't have any white in my sky. And now my little stenciled background is finished. Next, I wanted to go ahead and stamp my sentiment up here in the sky, and the sentiment says, "Will you be mine? I love you." So I'm just making sure that I have enough space for that tree that I'll be adding to the left side. I'll pick it up with the door of my Misty and then stamp this in some black ink right onto that panel. Now I've put some foam tape all over the back, and I'll just pop this onto a white card base, and I get that nice white border around my panel. Now I can start to add all my little images. First, I'm going to start with this little guy from the add-on set because his arms are cut so he can hold things, and I'm going to put this little acorn in his hands. So he's holding that cute little acorn there, which I just think is adorable. Then I'll start by building my scene. I'm going to start with my trees first to kind of put a border on the left and the right side. And then I can start to add leaves to these trees. I like that you can add as many or as little leaves as you want to make these trees look as full as you want or as bare as you want, depending on the season that you're creating your card for. There are little leaves as well as big leaves, so I'm using the smaller leaves on the little tree and then the bigger size leaves on the larger tree. And I'll just start to put in some of these pieces so that I can make sure I put my leaves in the right place. I have this cute little porcupine that's sitting on the stump, and I am going to tuck him behind that little branch of the big tree, since this big tree is in the foreground and these little guys are in the background. And then of course I have this cute little mushroom to add as well, which I just think is so adorable. Now I have the two little porcupines that are going to go in the front, and I'm actually going to add some foam to them. I'm adding the little flower to this one's hand first, and I will pop these up with some foam squares just to add some dimension to the card. So I've put those foam squares on the back of both of them, and then I'm just going to place them down here towards the bottom like one is handing the other a flower. Then I can continue on with my leaves, and because I've popped these up, I can tuck some in behind. I also have these cute little mushrooms, and I'll just glue these right to the bottom of this porcupine. And then I can tuck some leaves in behind there as well. And then finally I have this cute little snail that I'm just going to put right up here against the stump. And then here is my finished card. This was inspired again by Callie. Thank you so much, Callie, for letting me remake your card today.
Oh my goodness, I am just so in love with this cute scene. I love the stencil background and all of the little porcupines together. Ah, oh my goodness. And now it's time to start creating another card. So we're going to take the largest outside in stitch rectangle and die cut some white cardstock. And we're going to be doing some stenciling as well. There's something about the cloud background stencil that's just perfect for these porcupines. So we'll be using some merman ink and that cloudy stencil. And we're going to go ahead and line that up on the card. We'll bring on the ink onto the stencil and then move up onto the main piece of cardstock there. And by doing this, we'll be able to create some beautiful clouds. Then we can move the stencil and turn it and use one of the other shaped clouds there. And overlapping them looks amazing. I mean, there's like no right or wrong way to use these clouds. Everything looks absolutely beautiful. So we're just going to keep building that up. And I just love using merman ink for this. It's such a bright and pretty sky. And then next up, we're going to start working on our ground. And we're going to be using some of this fruit salad paper. We're going to die cut it with that same outside in stitch rectangle that we die cut the piece we stenciled the clouds on so that everything's the same size. And then we're going to be using one of these simple stitched hillside borders here to create a little hill for our porcupines to hang out on. And I think it's really fun to use pattern paper for the ground. It's just such a cute look. And this kind of neutral gingham is just so pretty. Oh my goodness, look how beautiful that is. So we're going to add some foam squares to the back of this. We can remove the liner paper and then layer that right onto the cards. And I love this brown. It just looks so pretty and earthy for our porcupines. Now, to continue to create this scene, we're going to be using a brand new die set called Happy Mushrooms. And this is one of my favorite die sets ever. I just love mushrooms so much. I think they're just so cute. And so we're going to be die cutting them out of some chili pepper cardstock, noble fir, and also some vanilla malt. And we'll be die cutting all of these different pieces that are included in the set, the little greenery pieces and also the stems and the mushrooms and the base for them. And so here you'll see we have a ton of these pieces that we're going to start layering together. The other thing that's included in the Happy Mushroom set are some little smiley faces, and these mushrooms need some smiles. So we're going to go ahead and line up that little smiley face right there onto the more open part of the mushroom and hold it in place with some low tack tape, and we'll do it on the tiny mushroom too. Then we can go ahead and run those through the die cut machine, and it's going to give us a super cute little die cut face. Now, to add color behind the eyes and the mouth, we're going to take some pieces of black cardstock and layer them behind. So we're just going to trim out some smaller pieces here, and then all you need to do is just add some tape runner to the back of your die cut piece, layer the piece of black cardstock on, and then just use your scissors to trim off any of the excess, and that's going to work out perfectly. The other thing that you could do would be to use a black marker onto your mushroom base to add the color. So you could either use black cardstock or even a black marker right onto the base of the mushroom to add the color for the cute little eyes and mouth of the mushroom. Now that we have those on there, on both the big one and the small one, now we can take those base pieces and layer those behind. And that's in that vanilla malt color, which is just really pretty to make these spots of these cute little mushrooms. So we're going to layer that on both the larger mushroom and also onto the smaller mushroom too. Next, we'll add a little bit of adhesive to the very bottom part of the back of the mushrooms, and then we can just layer them right over top of the stems. And look at these guys. I think that's just the cutest things ever. I love that these little mushrooms are great for cards on their own, but they're also really great for setting the scenes for these really fun porcupines. And that's what we're going to start doing here. So we're adding some tape runner to the back of the greenery, and we're going to put those flat against the clouds. And then we're going to have the mushrooms popped up, and that's just going to give us a lot of fun dimension. Like we've got the greenery in the background, but the mushrooms are a little bit more of the star of the show. And so they're going to have some foam tape at the top of their bodies, but not at the very bottom because the bottom is going to layer over the hill that is already popped up. And now we're going to layer these two guys together, and it almost looks like they're talking to each other. I just think it's just so cute and sweet. The Happy Mushroom die also comes with these little rocks that are fun for setting the scene too. And so we'll die cut some Cray cardstock. This is narwhal cardstock, and then we'll layer that into the scene as well. Next, we're going to bring in the Porcu-pine for You stamp set, and we're going to be using a ton of images from this set to mix and match with our mushrooms here. And so we're going to be adding some foam squares to the back of these different characters and adding them into the scene. First up, we have the cute little guys that are hugging that are just so super sweet. And then we're going to add the little baby there onto the tree stump in the background. We'll add the little snail kind of layering over top, and by layering different elements, it really kind of makes little groupings and cute little scenes onto the cards. We're also going to add those cute little leaves into the tree there to kind of help form the tree. And then we can add some foam squares to the back of that tree and layer that into the scene too. And you can just see how cute this is looking. Then here we have some more of that red cardstock to match our mushrooms. And we're going to add some tape runner to that and then layer that onto a standard size card base that's 5.5 by 4.25. And then we'll add some tape runner to the whole scene that we created. And I love the look of the red border. It really makes the mushrooms pop. The last thing that we need is a sentiment. So we're going to be using the sentiment "You're So Porcu-pine," which is so adorable. We're going to stamp that out in some black licorice ink on some white cardstock, and then we're going to take out a sentiment banner die to die cut this. And so we're going to use this sentiment banner die here, and you'll see it's a bit long, but that's okay. We're going to customize the size of this banner. So we're going to line it up on the left-hand side how we'd like it to look, hold it in place with some low-tack tape, and then we'll run that through the die cut machine. And then all you need to do is just take that banner die and shift it down so that you have the even space there, the same amount of space that you have on the left on the right. So see, we're just going to kind of eyeball that, and then we can just use the tape again to hold it in place and run it through the die cut machine. And now we're going to have this perfectly sized banner for our sentiment. Then all we need to do is just add some tape runner to that, and then we can layer that right there onto the ground. And I think this is so cute. I mean, look at this little sentiment with those little hugging porcupines. I can't stop smiling with the little mushrooms. It's just too much. It's just so sweet and so much fun. Now, this card would be super cute for Valentine's or really all year round, but the next one we're going to make is going to be very Valentine's in its color scheme. So here we have some raspberry ink and Ballet Slippers cardstock, and we're going to take this ink and just smear it onto our craft mat here, spray it with some water to thin it out, and then you can pick it up with a paintbrush and just tap the edge of your paintbrush. Here, Rebecca's just tapping it right onto a little block there to create splatters all over the cardstock. And so we'll have this very like pink and red kind of theme going on already with our custom made little background. Next up, we're going to set that piece to dry, and we're going to work on some more of the backgrounds for this card. So we're going to have some raspberry cardstock here to go along with those raspberry splatters, and we're going to layer this whole piece right there onto a standard size card that's 5.5 by 4.25. Then we're going to take out one of my favorite background dies, which is the quilted heart backdrop, and we're going to be die cutting that from some white cardstock. And this is so pretty because it has this kind of quilted detail and also the open hearts. And I just think it's such a beautiful background, and it's really fun to have the colorful cardstock peeking out from behind these hearts. Then we're going to take out some white cardstock and then a stitched rectangle frame, and we're going to be using the second largest one. We'll die cut that from the white cardstock, and then we're going to bring back that piece of paper that we splattered just a little bit ago, and that's going to be layering behind this white frame. We're also going to be bringing out the new little heartstrings border die, and we're going to die cut this from some white cardstock too. And what's cool about this die is you could make it be any height. The top of it could be any type of height. In this case, we only need a little bit because we're going to be layering it behind this whole rectangle frame. And to do that, we're going to flip our frame over and add a little bit of tape runner to the top. And then we're going to layer that right onto the border, just like this, kind of looking to see where it's going to look the cutest with the hearts hanging down. And then we can just trim off any of the excess. So I love that you could use this border fully across a standard size card, 5.5 by 4.25, or you can also trim it down to be a cute little border within this little rectangular frame that we're going to use to frame our whole scene. So you'll see we can just trim off any of the excess, and now it looks like you have these fun little hanging hearts into this adorable window. Now we're going to take 3 different shades of cardstock here. We have raspberry, guava, and ballet slippers. And this die comes with this little row of 5 hearts. And so we're going to die cut all of these hearts. And I love that you can die cut a bunch of them at once. I always save all my little extra hearts to add them to other projects that I might have in the future. Then we're going to take our glue tube and add little drops of glue to each of those hearts, and then layer the different shades of pink onto this. And like, look how cute this is. Oh my goodness. I just love the different shades of pink with the white. It's just so beautiful for Valentine's Day. Then we're going to take this whole frame and we're going to add some of these little foam strips all of the way around. And that's going to give this a fun shadow box feel when we layer it over top of that pink splattered cardstock. And oh my goodness, it's already looking so pretty. So we're also going to be taking out our Porcupine for You stamp set, and we're going to take a bunch of these cute little critters here. We've already stamped, colored, and die cut them. And we realize at this point, before we want to make the whole scene, we actually need to work on our sentiment. And we have a brand new Ta-Da Diorama heart window add-on. And the heart window has this really great wavy banner that comes with it that has a stitching detail that I'm going to use not only on my Ta-Da cards, but like all of my cards. It's such a great length of banner, and I love the stitching. And we're going to be taking out the phrase, "Quill you be mine," and we're going to bend it on the block to match the shape of the curve. Then we can prep that with an anti-static powder tool onto that little banner, and then we're going to stamp it in some clear embossing ink right onto the banner. Then we can sprinkle on some white heat embossing powder, and then heat it up with the heat tool to have a nice bright white shiny sentiment on that raspberry cardstock, which goes along so well with our little heartstrings border that we die cut earlier. So we'll add some foam squares to this and then layer it at the bottom. And now this is going to become the ground for our characters. So we're going to add that cute little flower into the porcupine's paw. And then we'll layer foam squares on the back of all of these cute little images. Then we're going to layer the little porcupine standing on the banner. I think that's just so cute with the Quill You Be Mine and him holding the little flower. And then we're going to layer the little mushrooms there to kind of help fill in the scene right on top of the banner as well. We're going to die cut some more of the little hearts from the little heartstring border, and we're going to layer these into the scene so it looks like they've kind of got all these little hearts popping out of their cute little romantic Valentine scene. And then we'll take a white gel pen and just add a little bit of detail to these hearts. By adding these little white gel pen lines, it's just going to make it feel like it has this almost like three-dimensional pop, and you can see as we add those, it just really makes the whole thing look really amazing. It also helps all those shades of pink really pop out from the background. Now here's that quilted heart that we did earlier, so we're just going to add some tape runner to the back of our little shadow box scene that we've created, and then we can layer that onto the hearts, and this is just the sweetest Valentine. I love it so much. I could just look at this one all day. I just think it's so cute, and this is a design by Tammy, so thank you so much, Tammy, for letting us recreate this card, because this card is just the sweetest thing ever. Next up, Shari is going to make the cutest card with the Porcupine for You add-on, so take it away, Shari.
So my card today features the Porcu-pine for You add-on stamp set, and I've also stamped out that line of cacti that is from the Simply Celebrate Summer stamp set, and I thought that would be perfect to go with this cute little porcupine. I've already stamped all my images in jet black ink, colored them with Copics, and cut them out with the coordinating dies. And then for this cute little porcupine, there is a die that cuts the little paws so that he can hold things. And I want to line that die up with his paws there, hold that in place with a little bit of removable tape, and cut that out so that he can hold that cute little cactus that is part of this add-on stamp set. So I've cut the little paws, and you can see that that cute little cactus is going to fit right in his paws, and how adorable is that? So for now, I'm just going to set these images aside and work on the rest of my card. For the background of the card, I'm using the largest outside in stitched rectangle and cutting some craft paper, a scalloped rectangle with some guava paper, and then another stitched rectangle that will layer on top of that scalloped rectangle out of some spiffy speckles. I'm going to layer this in the center and just trace around it with a pencil as a guide to know how much of this kraft cardstock we'll see. So you can see that that pencil line will get covered up by the scalloped rectangle once we assemble everything. I'm using some celery stick ink, and I'm getting out a bunch of my clear blocks, and I'm going to stamp a background with all these cute little images in this set. There is the cactus, there is a cute little mushroom with a face, there's a flower, there's an acorn with a cute little face, so many cute little images, and I thought it would be really fun to basically make my own background. So I'm speeding this up so that you can see all this fun stamping, and I'm just working my way around this rectangle, filling in all the space between that pencil line where I traced where my pattern paper is going to go and the outside edge. And I like to make sure I vary where my images are. I like to make sure some of them go off the edge so it looks like we had a piece of pattern paper that we just cut. And I think this is a really fun way to use little images in your stamp set and create a custom pattern that matches the images on your card. And you can pick your colors too. Now this ink will absorb into this craft paper a bit more and this pattern will become more subtle as it does. You can see that my pencil line will get covered up with that scalloped rectangle, so I don't even need to worry about erasing it. Now for my sentiment, I am using the sentiment that says, "You prickle my fancy." And I've cut a sentiment banner from white cardstock. I'm stamping this in some guava ink to match the guava cardstock that I've used. And then I'll just take that same sentiment banner die and line it back up and trim this down so I have a shorter banner that fits my sentiment perfectly. Now I'm ready to start assembling all these pieces of my card. I'm starting out with this stitch rectangle cut from some spiffy speckles paper, and I will just layer this onto the guava cardstock with the scalloped rectangle, and you'll get this cute little scalloped edge around this pattern paper. This is going to be the main focal panel of my card. Now for the kraft cardstock, this is cut with the largest of the outside in stitch rectangles. So when I put this onto a white card base, I'm going to get that thin white border around all the sides, which I think frames this up very nicely. Next, I'm putting some foam adhesive tape on the back of my small rectangle, and this will pop up this middle panel from the background and give it some really nice dimension. And of course, I want to make sure that that tiny little cactus is secure in the paws of my little porcupine. So I've just put a dot of glue in the center there, and I will tuck this into his paws and kind of situate that where I want these pieces to be. This will allow me to figure out where I want all of the elements on my card. Once I kind of have that placement figured out, I'll add a little bit of liquid glue to the back of my sentiment and pop that underneath those succulents, that line of succulents. I really like how the line of succulents and cacti kind of go off the side of this panel and they're not confined to that rectangle. So to put these on the card, I'm going to add a little bit of foam to the very ends where it overhangs that rectangle, because remember that rectangle is mounted with foam to my card base. And then I can just use liquid glue on the 3 plants in the center. Then I can just line this up right above my sentiment and stick that down. I think that these make a really cute background for this cute little porcupine. And of course, I'm going to pop him up on some foam squares as well, so there is some dimension between him and those cacti behind him. And then finally, I did stamp and color this little heart that is also in that Porcu-pine for You add-on set. And I'm just putting that right above his head. And I will add some stickles to embellish all of these little images to the heart and some embellishments on all of the cacti, including that little one in his hands. And then I decided I needed some more hearts on this card, so I pulled out some little hearts cut with the Hearts and Stars skinny tag die. These are cut from guava to match that frame, and I'll just add these with a little bit of liquid glue. And I think that these add some really fun pops of color. I added glitter to those hearts as well so that they match the other sparkly elements. And then here is my finished card. And I just think that little porcupine with the cactus is so sweet. And I love those fun images in the background as well.
I absolutely love that background that you created, Shari. It is so cool. And next up, we have the most incredible cards by the design team. And this first card by Grace is a peekaboo pop-up that is just too much fun. I love the scene with the happy mushrooms along with the mushroom house. They are a perfect match for Porcupine for You, and the little happy Valentine's Day heart that pops up when you open the card is just adorable. This card by Elena is so sweet. I love the shadow box feel of it and that fun pattern paper as the sky. Here, Megan created a tall slimline card that's so much fun with the little hugging porcupines in the heart and the desk. Oh, I love it. And then Audrey shows us that this set is perfect for birthday cards. This could not be cuter. This slimline card by Maureen is so much fun because it gives you the opportunity to use so many of those cute little porcupines and the fun trees. I love the colors of her leaves. And this scene by Elise is so sweet. I love her stitched cloudy backdrop in the background. This card by Mindy is so much fun. I love the turquoise little mushrooms. I think that is just such a fun touch. And then here is that beautiful card by Tammy that inspired us to make ours today. Maureen created a mini slimline card that is so sweet, and I love how they're both holding the little cactuses along with the rest of the cactuses in the background. And then this card by Yanea is so beautiful and features our brand new radiant heart backdrop that is just stunning. This card by Mindy is so sweet. I love the quilted heart backdrop on it and the little scene that she created by clustering all of the images. And then here's the card by Callie that inspired us to make ours today. It is just such a sweet scene, and I love the stenciling. And then here Letitia featured our new heart wreath stencil as the perfect little frame for these adorable porcupines. So we cannot wait to see what you guys create with these new products, so make sure to share it with us. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Bye!